Hello students, this is Dr. Deepika Sharma and today we are going to discuss the main characteristics of the poetry of Robert Frost. As we are seeing on the screen, this is the great American poet. This is the picture of the great American poet Robert Frost. The full name of Robert Frost was Robert Lee Frost. He was an American poet. His work was initially published in England before it was published in America. He is highly regarded for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. Frost was honored frequently during his lifetime, receiving 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. Now we are going to discuss some of the main characteristics of his poetry. Frost was a great modern poet. He has been called the voice of America. He adopted some principles of the Gregorians. His poetry reflects the real life, language, and outlook of the common man. The first characteristics of his poetry is simplicity. Frost's poetry is simple. He writes of ordinary people and common objects of nature. The matter and manner is clear and simple. He has used the language of the common speech of the country folk. The language of his poetry is like this: the language of the common speech of country folk. Their simple occupations and pleasures are his themes. The people and the scenes of city life are not found in Frost's poetry, yet the ache and anxiety of the city life are present. Variety and complexity. There are variety and complexity in his thought and feeling. The poems have many layers of meaning. Often he brings together the opposites of life. There are joy, pain, labor and rest, charity and uncertainty. There are conflicts between good and evil, reason and instinct. Often Frost used symbols to convey profound truths. Second characteristics of his poetry is pastoral element. The scenes and sights of the countryside are the background to his poetry. He writes of fields, fences, groves, trees and woods. The sights, sounds and movements of nature attract him. His poems present the natural beauty, freshness and glory of the surroundings. Frost was a regional poet. New England is the background of his poems. Frost knew it intimately and loved it. The people, the scenes, and the manners of this region constantly appear in his poetry. The tone, diction, idiom, and rhythm of Yankee speech are reproduced precisely. Frost's attitude towards nature. Frost is aware of the pleasant as well as unpleasant aspects of nature. He enjoys its sensuous beauty, yet is alive to much that is harsh and cruel. The outlook on nature is realistic. Frost believes and emphasizes that nature and men are principles. There is no deep love, sympathy, friendship between nature and man. Frost's poetry is humanity. He presents the actions, work, talk, thoughts, and feelings of man. The people are poor and yet dignified. They speak carefully and every word counts. Frost tells us about the lovely forms, the cold winter, brief summers, the sense of failure, of wilderness and of death. Man is pictured as a stranger in an indifferent world. Stress and strain disturbs man, yet there are moments of ease and drama. Frost's view of life. Frost is a realist who wishes and works for improving the lot of man. He does not suggest that life is not worth living. The routine of life goes on, and man has to labor and learn to live with joy, ignorance, prejudice, and violence. Man may bear his lot by doing his duty sincerely. Even pain and sorrow are there in the world. As a lyricist, Frost wrote many narrative and reflective poems, but his genius is essentially lyrical. There is a subjective note in his poems that is simple, short, and intense. The expression is spontaneous. The natural ease of expression and fluency may be seen in the lines. These are the most famous lines written by Robert Frost. The words are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Nature of Frost and the quality of Frost that he was an orthodox person. He is economical in words and style. Many of his lines are compact. It means the simplicity, austerity, formal finish, and perfection of verse comprises the classical element. His habit of reflecting, moralizing, and his practical wisdom are the marks of his conservatism. May have some shortcomings, yet he has sincerity of feeling, integrity of manner. At great moments, his poetry has an elfin. The meaning of elfin is attractive because they are small and have delicate features. So, at great moments, his poetry has an elfin quality. And here we end about Robert Frost. So, I think students that you must have liked this discussion related to Robert Frost, and in future I'll present some more interesting topics and some notes related to some famous poets and famous writers of English literature. Thank you and have a nice time.